Welcome to Liberated Leader, leading boldly beyond the old rules. We've all been led by someone who checked all of the boxes of leadership, but left us feeling unseen, uninspired, or just plain drained. Maybe you've had the opposite experience as well. Someone who wasn't the boss on paper, but their presence shifted the entire room. Hi, I'm Katie Schuelke, and for 25 years, I navigated leadership inside a system built on old rules. I didn't always play by them. In fact, I probably rarely played by them, but I definitely felt the weight of them. Here's the harsh truth: you don't have to believe in the old rule book for it to shape how you're measured, rewarded, or burned out. You see, I was the project manager who could juggle 100 moving parts, hit impossible deadlines, and keep whole teams on track. On the outside, success. Behind the scenes, exhaustion, misalignment, and a treadmill to nowhere. That's what led me here, creating spaces like Liberated Leader and Badass Biz Solutions, where I help entrepreneurs and leaders build aligned teams, scale sustainably, and multiply momentum. But before we go further, let's bring this closer to you. Grab your pen. Okay, do you have a pen and paper? What's your definition of leader? If that feels too big, jot down what comes to mind when you think about a person who led you in a way that stuck with you, or maybe even easier, a moment when you knew for sure what leadership was not. Don't overthink it. Just write what comes up: a few words, images, or feelings. Okay, because here's the thing: if you don't define leadership for yourself, you inherit a rule book someone else wrote for you, and most of it is garbage. Today, I want to talk to you about what happens when you stop leading by the old rules and start leading boldly on your own terms. I call this liberated leadership. And inside that, there are a few game changing power shifts that not only set you free, but they position you as a thought leader. But here's the kicker: before we can talk about leading others, we've got to face the hardest person to lead: ourselves. Because if you can't align your energy, your voice, and your own choices, no title, no team, no strategy is going to stick. And here's why. As leaders, whether you're running a business, a team, a community, or even your household, we've all been handed an invisible rule book. It says work harder, look polished, control every detail, never let them see you sweat. I don't know about you, but my rule book must have been missing the fine print that says side effects may include insomnia, loss of hair, and developing a tether attaching you to your phone. And while that rule book might help you survive for a while, it won't help you stand out as a voice, as a leader, or as someone creating impact. And if you've ever found yourself lying awake at 2 a.m., phone in hand, wondering, is this really what leadership is supposed to feel like? You're in the right place. Because leadership isn't about doing more, it's about being more real, more courageous, more aligned. Today, I want to invite you to ditch the outdated roles that keep you stuck in the grind and step into liberated leadership, where your message carries further, your people rise with you, and you're seen and appreciated for who you really are. I know this because I learned it the hard way. For years, I ran full throttle, outwardly successful, inwardly burning out. I tried to control everything, work harder than anyone else, and never show weakness. Like Cameron Diaz said in The Other Woman, cry on the inside like a winner. On paper, I was killing it. Big projects, big results, big reputation. But in reality, let's just say my coffee intake could have powered a small city. But I just kept telling myself, if I just work harder, I'll get ahead. Turns out the only thing that I got ahead of was my immune system. The dam finally cracked with my boss. Our values clashed so hard, every day felt like betrayal. And when my body gave out, stress, exhaustion, misalignment, I realized I couldn't keep trading my well being for success. Here's what no one is telling you: burnout isn't just exhaustion, burnout is self betrayal. I knew what I stood for, and I knew what leadership could be. but I felt confined by the old rules. So I walked away, not with a perfect plan, not with all the answers, but with a deep inner knowing I was done with the old rules. And that terrifying decision became the doorway to something new, liberated leadership. And it gave me something the old rulebook never could have: freedom. Walking away wasn't failure, it was freedom. Really let that sink in, because so often we equate leaving, stepping back, or saying enough with weakness, defeat, or falling short. We tell ourselves that if we can't push through, control everything, or do it all perfectly, then we failed. What I've walked away from was a 20 plus year corporate career and a team that had become my family. Leaving was hard. It was scary. It was uncertain. And it was messy AF. But it was also liberating. It was the moment I reclaimed my values, my well being, and my leadership on my terms. And that choice, that leap, is what allows me to stand here today, not just as a voice, but a liberated leader, a thought leader. So let's name a few of the old rules because I bet you'll recognize these. Rule number 1, always be in control. In reality, it's just micromanagement masquerading as leadership because it's adult babysitting with a side of trust issues. It kills creativity, erodes trust, and turns people into order takers instead of innovators. You'll know you're doing this when you're wearing all the hats and hovering over every detail. Have you ever rewritten someone's work at 11 p.m. because you didn't think it was good enough? Where are you gripping the wheel so tightly your team can't drive? Rule number 2, never show vulnerability. We're told leadership means being tough and having all the answers. You know, that smile and say, I'm fine, move. Yeah, if that burned calories, we'd all drop 5 pounds. You know you're doing this when you never ask for help or hide the messy shit. In general, not share what's really happening. That's the mask. And when your armor is up, you don't inspire respect, you inspire distance. Where in your leadership are you still wearing the mask? And what might shift if you let people see the real you? Rule number 3, work harder than everyone else. Grind culture disguised as greatness. You hustle 24/7, joke you'll sleep when you're dead, and sacrifice your health, your joy, and sometimes your relationships. Picture this, it's Monday, you're fueled by a steady caffeine IV drip and sure determination. This is your week, you're going to crush it. Of course, you said that last week too. By Friday, you don't even know what day it is. You can't remember what you actually accomplished, only that you never stopped moving. But hustle isn't progress, it's exhaustion with better branding. And here's the kicker, being busy is not the same as being productive. Answering 100 unimportant emails isn't leadership. Shaping one powerful idea, one bold decision, one meaningful conversation, that's what moves the needle. It's not about speed or volume, it's about leveraged intentional impact. If your worth is measured only in output, you'll always feel not enough. And worse, you'll model that same unsustainable cycle for everyone watching. What's one area where you're still measuring your worth in hours instead of impact? Do any of these hit home for you? These rules aren't harmless. They create disengagement, burnout, high turnover, and leaders who feel like they're faking their way through the journey. They don't just keep you small, they keep you invisible. And you can't be a thought leader if you're drowning in busyness, hiding your voice, or gripping control so tightly no one else can carry your message. Now, the good news, the rules are optional. So, if we burn the old rule book, what replaces it? I call them power shifts because that's exactly what they do. Shift how you lead and the impact you make. Let's pull a few from the Liberated Leader playbook that will help set you free and position you as a thought leader. Power shift number 1, lead with alignment, not just authority. Think about the last time you said yes to something your gut screamed no to. You felt the drag, right? Because misalignment is heavy and it always leaks into your leadership. Decisions rooted in values and vision, not fear, pressure, or hustle, build trust and magnetize people to your message. And here's the twist: people don't follow titles, they follow truth. When you show up aligned in what you say, how you decide, and what you prioritize, your voice carries weight. People lean in, they remember. Alignment isn't just personal peace, it's leadership power. Power shift number 2: courage over control. Remember the first time you shared something real? Maybe a failure, a messy draft, a bold opinion, and instead of judgment, people embraced it? That's the power of courage. Letting go of control feels risky, but it's the only way your team will step up, innovate, and surprise you. Thought leaders take stands, they share the in the trenches moments, and that courage, that's what creates connection. And here's a profound insight: the more real you are, the more remarkable you become. Control creates compliance, courage creates connection. Power shift number 3: sustainable power. Ever notice how when you drag yourself into a meeting drained, your team drags too? Think of your energy as a radio tower frequency. It transmits the signal. You could be the best strategist in the world, but if your energy is flat, the room is flatter. Protect it as fiercely as you protect revenue, because when your energy collapses, your message collapses with it. Sustainable power isn't selfish, it's stewardship. And consistency in showing up, not just once, but over and over, is what builds trust. It builds visibility. Energy is the currency of leadership. Spend it wisely. Now, these aren't soft skills, these are power skills. The business multipliers that change the room when you walk in and shift how people see you long after you leave. When I finally walked away from that old role, I realized something. I had plenty of systems, strategies, and processes, but my heart wasn't in it. And when your heart isn't in it, no amount of head work will save you. And here's the thing: power shifts aren't just ideas. They become real when you've got a structure that supports them. Otherwise, you fall right back into the grind. That's why I created the Freedom Formula. It's how I make the power shifts real. Your heart is your aligned values plus your people. This is your freedom fuel. It powers trust, connection, and impact. Your head is your operations plus your structure. This is your freedom engine, the system that keeps your vision moving forward without burning you out. When your head and your heart are aligned, leadership isn't harder, it's smarter. You leverage flow instead of friction and impact instead of exhaustion. Now, I'm a practical application kind of person, so let's start with 3 practices that you can begin using immediately. So get your pen and paper back out. Number 1, the why am I doing this test. Write down one decision you're currently struggling with. Okay, do you have it written? Now, before you decide, ask yourself, is this aligned with my vision and values? Or is habit, fear, or pressure weighing in? Alignment protects visibility. This is how you ensure you're making a conscious choice, and that's how you stay present and visible for the right things. Okay, number 2, the bold stance challenge. Name and write down one belief you hold that most people get wrong. Determine how and when you'll share it. This could be any number of ways. During a meeting, post it out on one of your social platforms. Be sure to follow through, though, before this summit is over, because courage builds authority faster than consensus. And number 3, the energy audit. Each week, note what drains you and what fuels you, then adjust. Protecting your energy isn't indulgence, it's leadership stewardship. A couple of examples of what might fuel you and how it could feel: deep conversation with aligned people. You leave buzzing with ideas, feeling light and grounded. Physically moving or stepping outside gets you energized, clear-headed, and awake in your body. Creative work or problem solving, you'll notice time flies, you feel expansive, you're in the zone. Acts of service or mentoring, your heart feels full, inspired, and purposeful. Laughter and play, you're lighter, joyful, and stress melts. Now, some examples of what might drain you and how that could feel. Back to back meetings or constant context switching. You feel rushed, scattered, and tension in your body. Toxic or misaligned relationships feel heavy, frustrated. Maybe you start second guessing yourself. Overcommitment or saying yes when you meant no may feel resentful, depleted, even snappy. Busy work that doesn't move the needle. Restless, impatient, checked out. Skipping meals, breaks, or sleep. Sluggish, foggy, low resistance. Notice the cues. Your body will often tell you before your mind catches up. Energy fuels make you feel expanded, alive, and present. Energy drains make you feel contracted, heavy, and disconnected. The goal isn't to eliminate every drain, though. Some are unavoidable. The goal is to design your days so you stack more fuels than drains and manage the drains with boundaries, recovery, and awareness. And this isn't just time management, it's self leadership. Because if you can't manage your energy, you can't manage a room, a project, or a vision. Leading yourself well is what fuels your ability to show up consistently and powerfully for others. These small shifts create massive ripple effects. And here's the bridge. Alignment, courage, sustainable power, that's the inner arena, but liberated leadership doesn't stop there. It opens the outer arena, thought leadership. Let me show you how these power shifts extend outwards into thought leadership. Alignment fuels your message. When your decisions are rooted in values and vision, your perspective becomes magnetic. People don't just follow instructions, they resonate with your lens, your clarity, your conviction. Alignment turns your leadership into a message people remember. Courage creates visibility. Thought leadership requires boldness. When you drop the mask, share the messy parts, or take a stand, you stop blending in with the safe, quiet voices. People notice, they lean in, they remember. Sustainable power enables consistency. Showing up once won't cut it. Thought leadership is about steady presence, showing up repeatedly, fully engaged with energy that inspires. Since consistency starts with you, it means you've got to get damn comfortable showing up for yourself first, protecting your energy, honoring your rhythms, and fueling what lights you up. You don't just thrive personally, you multiply impact. Because when you're at your highest good, your team rises with you. And that consistency is what builds visibility and trust over time. Your message just doesn't land once, it echoes, spreads, and creates real influence. Thought leadership includes the discipline of leading yourself first. Alignment, courage, and sustainable power are self leadership skills before they ever show up as thought leadership skills. So, this bridge is how you stop being just another leader grinding it out in the day to day and start being the voice that gets seen, gets heard, and shapes the conversation. As we wind down, let's take a moment. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, get present. Which old rule has been running your leadership? Is it control, invulnerability, overwork? Now picture yourself breaking that rule this week. Imagine the weight that would lift. Imagine the signal it would send to your people. Imagine the freedom you'd feel. Remember at the start when I asked you to write down your definition of a leader? Or maybe that moment you knew what leadership wasn't? Take a quick glance at what you wrote. Now stack it against the power shifts we've talked about: alignment over authority, courage over control, sustainable power over burnout. Here's the question. Does your definition expand when you add those in? Does it shift? Or maybe you realize your old definition was borrowed from a rule book you never agreed to play by? Now decide which power shift you need most right now. This is the beauty of liberated leadership. You get to rewrite the definition in real time and then live it. So here's your challenge. Break one old rule this week. Delegate instead of controlling. Share something real. Say no to misaligned work. Then watch what happens. Notice how people respond. Notice how you feel. And choose one power shift. Step into it, own it, and watch what changes. Because liberated leaders don't just lead differently, they redefine leadership for everyone watching. And that starts with you. This isn't a one-time choice, it's a daily practice. And it's the beginning of your thought leadership. The future of leadership isn't about bigger titles, longer hours, or tighter control. It's about leaders who are aligned, courageous, and sustainable. It's about leaders who move confidently through controlled chaos, resilient, adaptable, and self-assured, because they've learned how to define and respond to the storm, not react to it. Leaders who trust themselves, trust their teams, and know when to act, when to pause, and when to pivot. Thought leaders don't shout louder, they show up more real, aligned, and courageous than most are willing to. And liberated leaders don't wait for permission. They don't play small. They create the future they're proud to lead. If you're here today, if you're listening right now, I believe that's you. So go break a rule, step into your power, be seen, be heard, and lead like the badass liberated leader you already are. Leaders don't shine because they're perfect. They shine because they're free. We started today by talking about that invisible rule book. My hope is that you'll walk away ready to write your own.